It's Friday, and it's the end of the workweek edition of Weather for Weather Geeks, the Mahoning and Shenango Valley's most in-depth, detailed weather forecast video. And it's another video that we have a lot to talk about. We haven't had a lot of dull weather lately. You know, we had kind of a dull December and first week of January. Ever since then, we've had a lot to keep us on our toes. Even though it's not been a particularly snowy winter, per se, it's been a busy let's say 5 or 6 weeks with wind to talk about and rain and flooding, and occasionally we'll have some snow and some ice and things like that. So let's get right to it this evening. Temperature trace for the last 36 hours. It was downright balmy in the pre-dawn hours today. But then, of course, our cold front rolled through and temperatures kind of flatlined with some sunshine in the upper 30s to around 40. And with a clear sky this evening, temperatures are dropping quickly. I expect more clouds later on tonight. But yeah, it's it's been a little bit of a roller coaster ride over the last 36 hours. It was definitely warmer than average yesterday. Today was a little more typical of the season. It was a nice looking afternoon, a gusty breeze, a chilly breeze, but nothing more than cumulus clouds on this time lapse from our Niles camera across the street from the Eastwood Mall right along 422. So good looking day. You needed the sunglasses, but you definitely needed the jacket, especially if you're walking outside. The breeze was definitely made it feel chillier than it actually was. All right, here's storm system number 1 out of 2 that we'll be keeping a close eye on for the next few days. This one's a miss to the south for us. This will be a chilly rain in Atlanta and Charlotte and Raleigh, and snow off to the north towards Kentucky, parts of southern Illinois, Indiana, and into the mountainous areas of West Virginia and Virginia as well. Our next system will be farther north and has a better chance of bringing us some precipitation. Why am I showing you Alaska tonight? Well, you may have seen in the news some climate news over the last couple of days. Alaska has been remarkably warm of late, especially into February. Some places in Alaska are almost 20 degrees warmer than average for the month so far. Finally, they're getting a little bit of a cool spell. Believe it or not, these temperatures are a little below average in some spots, but this is the exception, not the rule. The rule has been exceptionally warm weather up in Alaska. And this evening, finally, it kind of feels like you would expect it to in Alaska. But I'll tell you, the general pattern for the next several days, even a couple of weeks, will continue to favor warmth up in Alaska, where ice roads are melting already, and it's a big problem when for their infrastructure and for a lot of people's livelihood when it gets this warm this early in the season up there. All right, back here down in the lower 48 states, clouds for a time later tonight into tomorrow morning. I think tomorrow afternoon will kind of turn out like today did, with a decent amount of sunshine, especially south of Interstate 80, maybe a little bit cloudier with some lake effect clouds around and north of I-80, but it's going to be a decent looking Saturday afternoon, just chilly, not much better than freezing tomorrow afternoon. All right, if you've been paying attention to our forecast today, I put out a push alert on the app earlier on. I've been posting on social media. We had to increase snow totals for Sunday, as the modeling today definitely came around to an idea that this is going to be a pretty vigorous little area of low pressure that'll scoot through and bring us some decent snows. Starting around midday or early afternoon Sunday, and then taking us through the second half of the day. I think it starts to snow in some spots by early afternoon. Now, we'll have kind of a dry easterly flow here. A lot of times when we have an easterly flow, the air downslopes off the higher terrain out to our east across the Appalachians, and that kind of dries out the lower levels a little bit more and leads to a slower onset of the precipitation. But either way, the atmosphere will moisten up at some point Sunday afternoon. It'll start snowing. Snow at a decent clip, I think, for a handful of hours, probably past sunset up to about maybe 7, 8, 9 o'clock. After that, probably not much more than just a touch of snow or some flurries for the overnight Sunday night. Here's a look at our current modeling. I'll get out of the way here. The NAM, the current run of the NAM, leading the pack here with a good 2.5, 2 3/4 inches. Models are a little more tightly clustered in here, somewhere between 1 inch and 2 inches, and I kind of think that's the right idea at this point. I think the most likely accumulation is indeed 1 inch or 2, outside chance of 3. Now, I'll have to keep an eye on maybe some mixed precipitation for a time Sunday late afternoon, especially down towards East Liverpool, Calcutta, Salineville, heading over maybe towards Elwood City, and certainly down towards Pittsburgh. If we get some freezing rain or some sleet pellets for a while, your chances of seeing much more than 1 inch down there definitely go down. But as a region-wide average, I think 1 inch or 2, 2.5 maybe, will be pretty good. Here's a look at one model simulation of the accumulation by clock time. Again, emphasizing that most of our accumulation occurs by early to mid-evening on Sunday. After that, it's going to try to spit snow a little bit, and there'll be some flurries around, and things can continue to be a little bit slick. But actual accumulations will probably be fairly negligible after mid-evening on Sunday. So if you plan on doing some traveling around the region on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, especially after dark Sunday evening, you'll have to definitely use some caution. Untreated surfaces, anything that hasn't been treated, can get pretty slick. If the main roads are treated, especially during the daylight hours Sunday, we should be okay. Some of those roads could get, even if they've been treated a little bit, could be a little bit slick if it snows at a decent clip for a time after sunset Sunday evening. So our weekend forecast, in summary, looks like this: clouds and sun, uneventful Saturday, and about 33 Sunday with that afternoon snow pushing into the region. We've got another system coming our way middle of next week, and there's been a trend on the modeling today featuring a little more snow on the front end of this before we see a changeover to rain. Timing on this, after a dry Tuesday, this is late Tuesday night, probably after midnight, as this moisture comes north and encounters the colder air, it's probably going to snow for a while. Late Tuesday night and into Wednesday morning, it'll be another situation where some drier air may fend off the precipitation for a little while, but eventually the precip will win the battle, and it'll probably snow for a time before at some point Wednesday morning or midday we see a transition from that snow, I should say, to rain. That transition's going to occur. It's almost, a deadlock cinch at this point. It's just a matter of when. This could be, problematic for Wednesday morning's commute, assuming this changeover doesn't occur until well after rush hour Wednesday morning. Wednesday morning could be a tricky time on area roadways, and then some residual showers probably into Wednesday afternoon. As far as how much snow with that midweek storm, we're not going to talk about, forecast numbers as of yet, but enough to be impactful, yeah, probably. This is the GFS ensemble snow accumulations showing a kind of a 1 to 3 kind of a thing. That's just one run of one model, and again, I'm not going to put any numbers in our forecast for that midweek storm anytime soon. It'll be a few days, but enough to shovel. If you happen to be out early Wednesday, yep, possibly. I think the rain and warmer temperatures will do the dirty work for you. Probably if you wait long enough on Wednesdays, we should get up into the upper 30s to around 40. All right, stay tuned for more updates on that Sunday snow this evening on the Storm Tracker 21 app, on my social media outlets, the Storm Tracker 21 social media outlets, and Chris Sarinelli and Emily Frazzini will have you covered here on 21 News on Saturday. I'm actually working on Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening, so I'll see you back here in the studio in 48 hours.